Day 39 Notes, Financial Algebra. Today we're going to start talking about consumer credit. Now when we talk about consumer credit, this phrase here, a lot of people tend to think of credit cards, which is good, but there are other lines of credit that a consumer might be involved with as well. Loans, for example, are examples of consumer credit. For today, however, we are going to be discussing credit cards almost exclusively here. And you can tell by looking at these bulleted points that there are an awful lot of credit cards in use these days. Many people use credit cards, and unfortunately some people tend to abuse or misuse credit cards as well. Now, this textbook was published in 2010, so the data that's shared with us here might be a bit outdated, but still good to consider anyway. When this text was produced, there were almost 1 billion MasterCard and Visa credit and debit cards in use in the United States alone. And so off to the side, I have this question here. When this text was written, there were about 309 million citizens of the United States, and 75% of them were at least the age of 18. And you do have to be 18 or older to have your own credit card. So based on the number on the left, how many credit cards per person on average were issued in the United States? Well, if we think about this, we can take our 309 million citizens of the United States and multiply that by 0.75. And this tells us that around 231 million adults lived in the United States at this time. And if there were 231 million, I'm going to write this number down, 231,750,000 adults, and our notes over here said that there are 1 billion credit cards and debit cards available. Well, if we want to know how many credit cards per person this averages out to, we'll take the 1 billion credit cards and divide that by the 231 million adults, and we can calculate how many credit cards per adult on average were issued in 2010. So this is approximately 4.3 credit cards or debit cards per adult. Now that's kind of interesting to me because personally I have one credit card, and I probably shouldn't even have that. My wife has exactly one credit card. And I know we're not the only ones that have only one credit card, or no credit cards for that matter. So if the average is 4 credit cards or debit cards per person, well then there have got to be some people out there that have way more than that. And if you're not careful, that can introduce spending that's way out of control. So what exactly is credit? Well, credit, no matter how you describe it, whether it's with a credit card or borrowing money against a loan or an installment, credit is simply a promise to pay in the future what you actually purchase today. So this is like saying, okay, I don't have the money right now to purchase something that I want or need, but I'm willing to pay it off over time, or I'm willing to pay it off in the future so that I can have this object today. So if you go home and ask your parents or grandparents what it means to live within your means, typically what you'll hear is that living within your means has traditionally meant to save for purchases that will be made. So if I need to purchase a $10,000 lawnmower, I'm not going to use credit to purchase that, but rather I'd save up my money to make that purchase. Or if I need to buy a car, or if I need to buy a new suit for an interview, I would save money, and after the appropriate amount of money has been saved, then I would go out and spend it for the object. But more modern interpretations have changed, and when you say that you're living within your means, often people are describing borrowing what you can afford to repay. What can fit within your monthly budget? How much money can you afford to repay per month? And I say you've got to be real careful with that. We've already talked about this earlier in the year, that your income based on your job only affords so much money for you to spend throughout the month. And if you're struggling day to day just to get by purchasing items that are necessities, when you start borrowing money and you start tacking on a car payment or a loan payment on a credit card, well, making those payments every month just takes money out of your pocket that you could be using to pay for other items in your day-to-day life. Now, our textbook provides a quote stating that credit provides you with a way to increase your standard of living as long as your purchases are made with careful financial planning. And if I'm being perfectly honest, I completely disagree with this statement. I don't think that it's a good idea to try to increase your standard of living. What they mean by that is buying nice things and improving your lifestyle with stuff, with purchases, as long as you are careful with financial planning. As long as you can make your monthly payment, then you can buy the nice and expensive items. And I totally disagree with that. Now, if you can save and buy those nice, expensive, and fancy items, that's one thing. But borrowing items to increase your standard of living, or borrowing money to purchase those items, just doesn't work well for me. And so here's an example. We're actually going to use this scenario twice to discuss this idea of credit. Heather wants to purchase an electric guitar, and the price of the guitar with tax is $2,240. Now, if she uses the traditional method of living within her means, then that means she would save her money before she makes this purchase. Now, she can save $90 per month, and we would like to know how long it would take for her to save up for the guitar. Well, to answer that, we need to know how much we're saving. We need to save $2,240. And if we save $2,240 and we can do so at $90 per month, then the result of this division will be months by itself. After we cancel our units here, we're left with the number of months. And our calculator off the side of the screen can help us. 2,240 divided by 90 is about 24.89 months. 24.89 months, or better yet, 25 months of saving. Now, excuse me. Now, that does mean that Heather is going to have to put off buying that guitar for 25 months. But the big plus is that, well, she's not going into debt for this. She's not taking on any payments to make this happen. The documents that I had copied and set out for today did not include a back to them. So example number 2, I'd like for you to pause the video here and copy down this description. And in just a moment, let's resume playback and we'll talk about its solution. Okay, hopefully you had a chance to write this problem down. Now, Heather, again, from the first example, talks to the salesperson at the music store, and the salesperson suggests that she buys the guitar on what's called an installment plan. Now, an installment plan is just a credit card at the store, basically. It's credit through the music shop. So the store will let her borrow the money that she needs to buy the guitar. She can take the guitar home, but she'll have monthly payments that have to be made to this company every month. Now, in order to agree to this installment plan, the store requires a 15% down payment, and the remainder plus an additional finance charge is paid back on a monthly basis for the next 2 years. So a minute ago we were saying that she would have to save for 25 months, which is basically 2 years to pay for that guitar. And here again, she's going to take 2 years to pay for that guitar. So she's still paying and saving for it over the next 2 years. The only difference is that she gets to take the guitar home today. Now, if we think about this example, to even take that guitar home, while she's not going to pay for the whole thing, she does need to spend, or she does need to pay 15% of the cost of the guitar up front. So $2,240 times 15% would be, let's see here, 2,240 times 15% is $336. So on day one she has to pay $336. This is what's known as the down payment. And in addition to the down payment, she has regular monthly payments. So she's paid her $336 up front. She has to pay an additional monthly payment of $88.75 every month for the next 2 years, or in other words, 24 months. So on top of the $336 that she has to pay, she now has to pay $88.75 times 24 months. She's got to pay an additional $2,130 for the next 2 years. Now, when you add the $336 that she paid on day one with the $2,130 that she's paying over the next 2 years, we now have a total of $2,466. And this is where I really struggle with the notion of credit. Yes, she was able to take that guitar home right at the beginning of this whole process, so she was able to get that guitar today. But if you look at what's happened, she's now paid $2,466 for a guitar that was only worth $2,240. So she's paid all this extra money just so that she could have the privilege of, as the textbook says, increasing her standard of living so that she could have this guitar right now. For me, I don't know that it would be worth it. I don't think I'm willing to pay the extra $200 just to take it home today. Besides, if you know anything about purchasing musical instruments at a music shop, you can always haggle with the price a little bit if you've got cash in hand. So even though the sticker price on this guitar was $2,200, I bet if she walks in with $2,000 cash, she might be able to make a deal. So we're talking about a guitar that can be purchased for $2,000 if she saves the money for it, or if she agrees to the payments, there's no negotiating that. She's paying at least $2,466 for that same guitar. Now I'd like to finish out the video with one more example of consumer credit. I'm going to ask that you pause the video again, copy down this problem on the back side of your handout for the day, and resume playback in just a moment. We'll work our way through this problem. Okay, in this example, Carpet King is trying to increase sales at their store, and they have a new promotion. All purchases can be paid on an installment plan with no interest, as long as the total is paid within the first 6 months. So what this means is that interest, that's what I was talking about a minute ago. That's the extra amount that you would have to pay for borrowing money. Now, in this particular promotion, you don't have to pay any interest as long as you pay within the first 6 months. Now, as a side note, if you don't pay within the first 6 months, then interest will be calculated. That's not described in this problem here, but take it from me, real-world experience. The interest is then back calculated for the first 6 months. So while you weren't paying anything for the first 6 months, interest is then going to be calculated if you don't pay off your loan, and it goes all the way back to the date of purchase. They collect their interest from day one. Now, in this example, we're told that this family can make $20 payments per month, but if you think about this, they're buying carpet for $2,000, and if they only pay $20 a month for 5 months, then there's going to be a huge balance that's due on that 6th month if they want to pay this off before their time runs out. This is what's called a balloon payment. Balloon payment. The last one at the very end is a lot bigger than the payments that you're making all along. So if they pay $20 a month for the first 5 months, well, that looks like they've paid off $100 towards the cost of the carpet. Now the total bill was $2,134, and during the first 5 months they pay off $100 of that. So if they would like to avoid this finance charge or this interest charge, then that means that they have to come up with $2,034 as a balloon payment during that 6th month. So I hope this video helps you think a little bit more about borrowing money, and it gets you thinking about credit in general. We'll talk more about this when I see you in class next. Please let me know if you have any questions, and I'll try to answer them when I see you next. Thanks.